A few weeks ago, I asked the good people from Twitter if they had any book recommendations, and they responded. And then I ordered the books online, and then they came in the mail, and I've read a few of them so far. I ordered 9 books, and I've already read 4 of them. 5? I've read 5 of them so far. I have 4 that I haven't read yet. So I'll start with the ones that I have read. 2 of them I don't have with me because I've already lent them out to a friend, so mashallah. I will first talk about the books that I don't have with me today. I'm not going to go into a review of the books, even though I've already read 5 of them. Just have the blanket statement of they're all very good. I've already lent out 2 of the books to a friend. And then the rest of them, one of them I meant to lend out, but I forgot to bring with me. And then 2 of them I would lend out, but I had already given her like 7 books. The first book I'll mention is Headscarves and Hymens by Eltahawy. I have been wanting to read this book for years. I think it was first mentioned to me back when I was in school. I'm not sure. The point is that it's been on my list for so long. And I've always just been like, ooh, if I find this in bookstores, I will buy it. But the problem with not finding it in bookstores is that it just like slips my mind. And obviously I'm not going to find it in bookstores. I don't know, I don't feel like Bahrain would have it in a bookstore. And then I eventually just ordered it online because I was just like, you know what, like, it's time. The next book that I don't happen to have with me is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. I feel like I butchered her name. I don't speak Farsi. It came highly recommended by my friend Marwa, and you can follow her on Twitter at Meme Elif. I'm not sure if people want me to say their Twitter handles, but my general rule is that if your Twitter handle is not private, like if your Twitter account is not private, then you don't mind. It's a kind of like a comic memoir book of the author who grew up during the revolution in Iran in 1979, and she was talking about her memories and like going through the things that happened in Iran and all that stuff, and it was like eye-opening. And even though I've been hearing about, you know, the Islamic Revolution in 1979, and you know, you hear about, you know, these like people who like do things, let's not go into too much detail, I've never really seen it from the perspective of an actual person who's lived through it. And I've only ever really heard about the media and like what people tell me, oh yes, this is what happened, oh no, this is what happened, so actually these different things are going on, and then this is how it affects the Irani people. Well, excuse me, you're not an Irani person, you are the giant media company, or you have some sort of propaganda to go behind it. I learned so much about Iran, and I learned so much about like what was happening and what it was like for an actual Irani person. And it's so weird because I'm from Bahrain, like I'm right here, and I don't know about these things just because like it's such a thing talked about in passing. Like yeah, after the revolution, this is what happened to us in Bahrain. After the revolution, this is how it affected the rest of the Middle East. But like I don't know about Iran, and Iran is such a like, to me, it just seems like such a closed-off place that because I've never been to before, even though Bahrainis go to Iran like all the time, but I've just never been, and I've never really had the chance to think about it deeply, and this made me think about it deeply, to the point where I'm gonna make like a family movie night and have this like a required watching to watch the movie version of the comic book, and just, you know, let's talk about this for a second. The next books I have here are When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. This book I have heard about for at least a year, because I remember when I was in Japan I was thinking of buying it, and the only reason why I didn't buy it is because it was in hardback, and I prefer not to buy hardback books. And I've been hearing about it for so long. It's just been that book on my list where I'm like, you know what, this is something that I need to read, to the point which I gifted this to a friend of mine because, you know, we're both in medical school. I thought he'd like it. But he was like, Mariam, why are you giving me such a depressing book? And yeah, but I find this type of conversation fascinating. It's from the point of view of a neurosurgeon who finds out that he has lung cancer, and then he goes through like the whole process of finding out, and then realizing that there's not much that could be done, and then, you know, I'm not giving away any spoilers because, you know, when breath becomes air, it kind of gives you an idea of what happens. But it's fascinating because this doctor, he was talking about how his life has been so much intertwined with both literature and medicine and the meaning and philosophy, and like, same. He was talking about how different paths that he could have taken in life, and like, same. I really appreciated the time that he took, his precious time, you know, at the end of his life to sit down and write this book, because I felt like it is necessary. You know, you should read it. Everyone should read it. It is sad. It made me tear up at multiple points, and by the end of it, like I was just crying. I was just like, oh my god, like I don't know what else to say about it, so I'm just not gonna say anything else. The next book I want to recommend. The next book that was recommended to me and I really liked, well, and I've read, is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. It is a book of poetry, and it is divided in multiple parts. So like you could see, this is the way that the book looks like. So sometimes there would be like drawings to go with it. It's very, very, very good. It is very good. I can't think of any other way to describe it because I'm watching Arrested Development right now, and you know, he's very good. I'll tell you how good this is. Personally, I don't believe, or I did not believe in English poetry, because I was like, alright guys, like, okay, the words kind of rhyme, they kind of sound deep, but come on, you have not experienced the depth of Arabic poetry. So I was like kind of like looking down on English poetry, like, please, like, have you read Arabic poetry? And you know what, it makes sense. Like, Arabic poetry is such a big part of our culture. It's so something that we take such pride in. Like, we care about like the depth of words, you know, like the different meanings, and like we have like specific syntaxes. And you know what, I've always appreciated Arabic poetry because it's beautiful, you know? But I never really thought of English poetry as being that great. I was just like, alright, cool. But even though some of these poems are like very short, like some of them are very short, like they're just 3 lines, I very much appreciated this, and I'm very grateful for whoever recommended it to me. And I'm not sure if someone specifically recommended it to me or if I just thought that I wanted to read it. So the next book that I read and was recommended to me is An Unnecessary Woman by Rabih and Alameddine. This was recommended to me by Dima, so at Dima M, and it was recommended also by at Shiem. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Oh, and she also recommended When Breath Becomes Air. But I've been hearing a lot about it, but like she also recommended that one to me. So she recommended both this one and that one. And very good. It is about an old woman who lives in Lebanon, and she's lived through like violence, the war. She's lived through so many different historical parts. I think at her age of when she was writing this, she was 72. The main character's point of view, she was 72, and she's recounting everything that happened to her in her life. Fascinating. Again, I don't know much about what was going on. I don't know much about, but the difference is that here it isn't a autobiographical memoir type thing. It's a Lebanese American author who's writing this fiction book. So it is fiction, but it gives you a lot to think about, and also it's very good for if you like literature, and you can really get a lot of the literary references. And it's beautiful, it's lyrical, like, it's great. The next books I have not read, so I can't really say much about them. This one is called Adventures in Human Being by Gavin Francis. This was recommended to me by my good friend Drudkin. You can find him. He has a real name. Everyone here has real names, but like, you know, I'm just giving their Twitter handles because I don't know. I have not read it yet, but it seems great. Is this something that is now on your radar? So, next. The next book is called No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. It's by a Japanese author. This one was also recommended by Shiem. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. If you do see this, can you just like let me know if I said it right? It was by a Japanese writer, and you know, usually I really like books written by Japanese authors that are translated into English. They're just a little bit different, and I appreciate a lot of books when they're translated into English because you can tell that they're a little bit different, you know? Like, there's like a few cultural differences that you're like, ooh, fascinating. Like, it's so nice not to be reading about Americans and British people, because that's most of the media that I consume. Sorry if you're British or American, but it's nice to have stuff from other parts of the world. The next book was recommended to me also by Dima. I've heard about this a lot though. I've heard about this for at least 2 years or 3 years, because I keep notes sometimes. Like, I have like random notes, like, I don't know if you can even see them, but like I have random notes in places of like books that I should read at some point. And you know, sometimes I write Americanah like multiple times, and I've seen her TED Talk. I think it was The Danger of a Single Story, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the same person. And I've read We Should All Be Feminists. And I've heard so much about her. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Oh God, I feel like I'm butchering everyone's names, and you know I'm trying, but like I'm trying. I've heard so much about this. I feel like this is just a classic, like an easy thing to recommend. Like you should probably read this at some point. I'm very excited to love it. So, you know, I'm very excited to love it. And then the last book that was recommended to me was The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. This one was also recommended to me by Marwa at Meme Elif. It is something that I've been meaning to read again for a long time. Oliver Sacks' husband wrote The Anatomist, which is a book that I've just really liked and really enjoyed. And I didn't pick it up because he was the husband of Oliver Sacks. I just picked it up because thought that I would like it, and I did, and I wanted to know more about how anatomy was being you know, discovered and put into like as an actual science. I have not read this yet, so I can't say if it's amazing, but I've heard so many good things about this from so many people, and you know, it's a thing that, you know, you could have now on your radar. And I think that concludes this really mammoth video. If you have any book recommendations, I'm always open to hear them. I got so many recommendations from so many people, and I appreciated every single one of them. I put so many of them now on my Goodreads list, or I've been talking to my friends about them, and then I've been hearing other stuff about them, like from a person in real life, which is always nice. If I made a mistake in who recommended what to me, sorry. And I want to just talk a little bit about the book depository. I'm not being paid to talk about this. Like, that would be the dream. Getting paid by the book depository to talk about them, that is the dream. But I do want to talk about them for a second. They are amazing. There's no shipping cost at all. So a lot of the books that, like one of the books that I have with me was priced at like 6 BD in store in Bahrain, and then I bought it for 4 BD online, and then all I have to do is wait for a little bit for it to come to my house. I'll try to put the dates of when I ordered the books and when the last shipment came, because also they ship them out one by one. Anyway, I'm gonna leave. Have a nice day. Peace out, and talk to me about books.